You are able to see now, Mataji?
Yes, but your audio is only available, Mataji.
Sorry, Mataji?
I can't see you. Your audio is only available. Your video is not available, Mataji.
Now, Mataji?
Yeah. Now it's clear, Mataji.
Okay, wonderful, Mataji. Wonderful.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll see further stages in the practice of yoga. So Krishna describes what are the practices of Ashtanga yoga, and the result are, yesterday we saw yoga rukshu means starting, beginning stage of Ashtanga yoga, and yoga ruda means the perfection stage, the ultimate stage in Ashtanga yoga, means where they focus totally on the super soul, meditation of the super soul. So here we can see in the picture chart, yoga rukshu means the beginning stage we can see. So the beginning stage means what? Till 1 to 6. Okay, that is yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana. And yoga ruda stages, advanced stages, dhyana and samadhi. Okay, so this is what is the thing. So see, these are the different kinds of yoga. So you can see yoga for pregnancy, yoga for physical and mental health, yoga for cats, and yoga chair yoga. Different kinds of yoga we can see. And see Ashtanga yoga. See all these like all different kinds of exercises they have to do. See like this, and this is called beer yoga. See all kinds of different yogas they invent. So this also is one kind of yoga. It's beer yoga. Okay, so Ashtanga yoga means the 8-limbed connection. Okay, so what is Ashtanga yoga means what we can see? Yama. Yama means external disciplines. Niyama, internal disciplines. Asana means the way we sit, the meditation seat, posture. Pranayama means breath control. Pratyahara means withdrawal of senses. Dharana means concentration. Dhyana, meditative absorption. Last stage is samadhi, union, integration with super soul. So from here they will tell. So I told you now, Mataji, it won't be in order. So 6.10, then 6.17, like that, 6.11 to 14. But the order is given, like how the yama, niyama, asana, that order is given. So that we'll see one by one. So first is yama. In Ashtanga Yoga, the first process is yama. So that is described in Shloka 6.10. What is given there? First, what he should do, yama means external disciplines, right? He should live alone in a secluded place and should always control his mind. So, Ashtanga Yogi, he should go to a lonely, he should be lonely. So, he should go to a forest and a secluded place. Nobody should be there. And what should he do there? Carefully, he should control his mind. So we know how the Ashtanga yogis by force they have to control their mind, because like a Krishna conscious devotee, they engage all their mind and senses, body in the service of Krishna. But these people, what do? They control their mind by force. So they have to do that. Sit in a solitary place and control their mind. So after yama, niyama, okay, internal discipline. So temperate in his habits of eating, sleeping, working, and recreation. So he has to be moderate. He should not eat too much. He should not eat too less. Too much of sleeping. Too less of sleeping. And working also should be moderate. How much ever is needed to keep his body and soul together. And recreation also moderate. It should be there. Next, in asana 6.11 to 14, what should you do? How should your asana be? Lay kusha grass on the ground and then cover it with deer skin. Why deer skin is generally used? Because deer skin it repels insects, snakes, and such kind of poisonous or dangerous animals. It drives them away, insects and all, because in the forest there'll be many dangerous insects and reptiles and all those, right? So the deer skin is used to repel all that. So the seat should neither be too high nor too low and should be situated in a sacred place. One should hold one's body, neck, and head erect in a straight line and stare steadily at the tip of the nose. Their eyebrows should be focused at the tip of the nose. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind. So, the mind should be controlled, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life. One should meditate upon me. So, this should be your asana. See, each how difficult it is. Yama also we saw we have to go to a forest and then control our mind. That itself is difficult. The first thing itself is difficult. The niyama. We have to be very careful in eating, sleeping, working, and recreation. Okay. Every step you see is very difficult. Third asana. See, we should in a forest we should put kusha grass, deer skin, and then the asana should be not too high or low, and we should sit in a sacred place. Okay, and the back and body should be straight always. Should be in a straight line. And the eyebrows should be concentrating on the tip of the nose always. It should be half open. Eyes should be half closed, half open. And he should focus on the tip of the nose. And he should be devoid of fear. Why devoid of fear? Because he's in a forest. Actually, because there may be many dangerous animals, right? Wild animals may be there, whatnot may be there, right? So he should be, but still he should be unagitated with a subdued mind. And that mind should be steady and he should not be fearful. Okay, and completely free from sex life. So like that, he should meditate on Krishna. So next, pranayama, that is 5.29. So practice stopping the movement of outgoing breath into the incoming. Pranayama we know, right? Incoming breath you have to control, outgoing you have to see, breathe. And then you have to remain in trance. Next is pratyahara, 6.15. So cessation of material existence. So pratyahara means now he tries to put a stop to all material existence, material duties and everything. He focuses mainly on, he tries to, at this, he just tries to stop all the material activities. He puts more focus on meditating. Next, dharana, 6.18. Disciplines his mental activities and becomes situated in transcendence. So, devoid of all material desires, he is said to have attained yoga. Okay, so slowly we said that he's stopping all his material activities. So, he is now devoid of all material desires and he's said to be situated in transcendence. So, now he's in the state of, started the state of meditation on the super soul. Next, dhyana. Dhyana, this is the meditation stage. As a lamp in a windless place does not waver, so the transcendentalist whose mind is controlled. So now everything is settled. It is controlled, it is not disturbed. Now remains always steady in his meditation on the transcendental self. So he meditates on the super soul now. His mind is steady and he is meditating on the super soul. Samadhi. This is the final stage. Yoga Ruda stage. So one is never shaken even in the midst of greatest difficulty. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. So Samadhi means now he's totally fixed up. Like nobody can shake him up. He's totally, his meditation is on super soul in the heart. Okay. See, all other yogas are progression towards destination of Bhakti Yoga. So all the yogas finally, the final destination is Bhakti Yoga. So first we said, right, Nishkama Karma Yoga. What happens? It purifies. Then Gnana means knowledge. So Gnana and Karma, work, they purify. So Gnana means we get knowledge of soul, super soul, material world. Okay, Karma Yoga means through our work we get purified. Okay, by giving up the results, leaving the results to Krishna. We just do our duty. So both these ways through work and knowledge we get purified, and then we enter into Ashtanga Yoga. So Ashtanga Yoga means where the mind is should be steady. To keep the mind steady, you follow some process. So that is Ashtanga Yoga. Then from once the mind is steady, it is into meditation. Final stage is Bhakti Yoga. Okay, so in Ashtanga Yoga, they meditate on the super soul. So in Bhakti Yoga, they just meditate. They don't do any service. But in Bhakti Yoga, they do service to devotional service to Krishna, like chanting, hearing Krishna Katha, reading, doing devotional service to the Lord. So the highest destination is Bhakti Yoga, where all your senses, body, mind, and everything is naturally engaged. There is no force, nothing. So naturally, it happens. Okay, so the highest is Bhakti Yoga. It is the easiest and practical for Kali Yuga. Okay, so Mataji, can you please read the Shloka 6.16, Mataji? Hare Krishna, I think you're on mute, Mataji.
Yes, I have unmuted. Mataji.
Yeah, please, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Natya ashnatastu
Nati Ashnatas, Mataji.
Nadi ashnatastu yogosti nai chaika
Na Chaikantam.
nai chaikandam anashnadaha na chandi swapnashilasya jagrato naivacharjuna.
Hari Bol. Yeah, please read the translation also, Mataji.
Okay, Mataji. There is no possibility of one's becoming a yogi, O Arjuna. If one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. So, we were talking, right, earlier shlokas, the same thing. Now with the shloka, we are reciting, Mataji. So, what they are saying is, so yoga requires regulation. It should not be in extreme. It should be moderate. So, yoga is impossible if one eats too much or too little. So, yoga is also impossible if one sleeps too much or too little. So, extremes disturb the body and mind. Okay, so spiritual life is practical and it is not artificial. So, we have to eat only what is necessary. So, eating more than that means sense gratification, not yoga. Okay, food is meant to keep body and soul together, not to please the tongue. So, overeating leads to laziness, dullness, and uncontrolled senses. So, control of the tongue is the beginning of yoga. And next up, Prabhupada says in the purport, vegetarian food is in the mode of goodness. So, we should eat only grains, vegetables, fruits, and milk that is sufficient for sustenance of human life. Okay, animal food is in the mode of ignorance. We eat all this chicken, fish, egg, all this animal food is in the mode of ignorance. Okay, and ignorance blocks spiritual advancement. So, pure food supports pure consciousness. And what we should do, we should offer food to Krishna first. So, eating food not offered to Krishna is called eating sin. So, one who cooks only for sense pleasure eats sinful reaction. So, only prasadam supports real yoga. So, yoga begins from the plate, what we eat. Okay, Krishna conscious person eats only prasadam. So a devotee never eats food unoffered to Krishna. So therefore he is automatically protected from sinful reactions. Okay, so such a person alone can attain perfection in yoga. So bhakti purifies, whereas yoga, in yoga you saw, right, what kind of exercises they were doing, all yama, niyama, all very difficult. It is a struggling process. Where bhakti purifies, in Ashtanga yoga it is full of struggles. Okay. And what the Prabhupada also says is artificial fasting is also harmful. So self-made fasting methods do not help yoga. So we should not create our own methods of fasting. Okay, fasting you should do according to the scriptural injunctions. So devotees generally they fast on prescribed days and in proper mood. So like for Janmashtami or Radhashtami or for all the appearance and disappearance of our past acharyas, we fast. For Narsimha Chaturdasi, we fast. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appearance day, Nityananda Prabhu. So all the such things we have to fast with a proper mood. Okay, so we should go according to the Shastras. Next, sleep. Sleep must also be regulated. So overeating causes excessive sleep and dreaming. So if you eat too much and then you sleep, then it causes you dream a lot. So sleeping more than needed puts one in the mode of ignorance. So Prabhupada says we should just sleep for 6 hours. Totally in 24 hours, just 6 hours. Okay, too much sleep makes one lazy and unfit for yoga. So actually, the ideal time also is said like 9 to 3 or 10 to 4. That's the best time for sleeping. We should try to get up in the Brahma Muhurta. Okay, so laziness is the enemy of spiritual life. And the mode of ignorance blocks yoga. What is that ignorant life? Ignorant life means what? Overeating and oversleeping and laziness. This is ignorant life. So such a person cannot, okay, such a person cannot control mind or senses. Okay, yoga requires clarity, alertness, and purity. Okay, so what do we understand? So yoga is not possible without regulation. So but at the same time, only regulation is not enough. You should have devotion also. What is that? Eating prasadam, regulated sleep, and devotional service make yoga successful. So therefore, only a Krishna conscious person can practice perfect yoga. Okay, so now let's go to 16.24. Okay, see, you can see from 16 again they're jumping to 24, Mataji. So 24, I think it's not clearly visible. One should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith and not be deviated from the path. One should abandon without exception all material and mental speculation and thus coordinate on all sides by the mind. Okay, so this is the 24th shloka, Mataji. So what are they saying in this shloka is determination is essential in yoga. So one must practice yoga with firm determination and faith. We should understand that success does not come immediately, but success is guaranteed for a sincere practitioner. Okay, it does not mean that if it is getting delayed, it is equal to failure. So delay is not failure. Okay, so never we should give up on the path. Prabhupada says should never give up because instant results don't come. We have to practice, do with determination and faith. So on fine day we will get the result. See, even to pass from one class to the other, one whole year we have to wait, right? Just to pass one class, 1 year you have to wait. And to go back to Godhead, how much time is needed, how much determination, how much faith is needed, right? So it's a long process. So we should not, we should have the determination and faith that one day I will go surely to Godhead, back to Godhead. So that determination should be there. So a yogi should not be deviated by temporary difficulties. So we should not leave Krishna, see a Krishna consciousness, for example, we should not leave the path. Oh no, I'm doing so much for Krishna. I'm chanting, I'm attending Bhagavad Gita classes, I'm reading, I'm listening, I'm doing so much of devotional service. Why is Krishna giving me so many difficulties? No, no, no. Then I don't want Krishna. I will leave Krishna consciousness. I will leave ISKCON and go off. No, that is not the way. So a yogi, he will not be deviated by temporary difficulties. Because this place is Dukkhalayam Asashvatam. You will have difficulties here. Even though you are practicing Krishna consciousness, does not mean that you will not have difficulties. You will have difficulties. But what is the difference when you do Krishna consciousness? You will get the strength. Krishna will give you the strength to face those difficulties. Okay, you will become more strong in life. You will be able to face any situation in life. See, obstacles test your sincerity. See, at that time, those who quit, they lose the benefit of Krishna consciousness. Okay, so determination keeps us on path. So material, third, Prabhupada says, the material desires come from the mind. See, all material desires are born from mental speculation. Why? What is this mental speculation? As long as desires remain, yoga is not perfect. That's why they say, na, these material desires, they first you have to purify your mind. If you don't purify, your mind is disturbed with all these material desires. Then meditation or yoga is not possible. See, what is yoga means? Yoga means you have to, means reducing and finally removing all that selfish desires. Okay, so that is important. And sense control comes through the mind. See, senses cannot be controlled directly. See, if the mind is controlled, then automatically the senses will be controlled. Okay, so bhakti engages the mind positively in Krishna's service. Okay, so automatically what the senses are engaged in all these services. Eyes see Krishna, nose smells the flowers offered to Krishna, tongue tastes Krishna prasadam, and ears hear about Krishna katha. Okay, so this is how the bhakti, if the mind is positively engaged in Krishna's service, automatically the senses will be engaged in Krishna's service. So we should engage the mind, but we should not fight with it. We should not forcefully restrain the mind or the senses. Okay, we should not fight with it. We should engage the mind. Okay, and bhakti yoga needs it needs these 6 qualities. This is said in Nectar of Instruction, Upadeshamrita. So bhakti yoga needs these. To be successful in bhakti, we should have what? Enthusiasm, confidence, patience, following rules and regulations, giving up bad association, and living a pure life. These 6 are needed for bhakti. So these 6 guarantee success in devotional service. Okay, so if you have confidence, enthusiasm, patience, following rules, giving up bad association, living a pure life. Okay, so there is a story of determination, the story of a sparrow. Okay, the sparrow, once it lays eggs on the shore of the beach, and it goes out to fetch some food for itself or something. So it leaves the eggs there and it flies away. By the time it comes back, the sparrow sees the eggs are not there. Then it understands that the ocean, because the waves come and they take everything inside, right? So it understood the ocean came and the waves came and took the eggs away into the ocean. And it asks the ocean, give me back my eggs. The ocean says, no, I will not give. What will you do? I will not give. The sparrow gets angry. See, what I'll do, I will drink of all your water if you don't give me my eggs. Now ocean laughs. you are so small. Sparrow, we know how small it is. You are so small. What will you drink my water? And then now, generally, I mean, it's actually to think it is very useless, right? What the sparrow said. How can it drink all the water of the ocean? It can't, and dry it. No, so, but still it starts trying. It goes to the ocean with its small beak. It brings the water and then it puts on the shore. Again it goes and it puts on the shore. Now all the birds are talking about the sparrow. So this gossip is going on. Now Garuda is flying on top. He's saying, "What is going on? Why are everybody so much gossip is going on? What is happening?" He comes down. Then he understands everything. So he goes to the ocean and he says, "You know my capacity. I can drink whole of your water. Now, if you don't return the eggs of the sparrow, because he's also belongs to the bird kingdom, right? So he's supporting the sparrow, and he says, give her eggs back. Otherwise, I will. You know my capacity. I will drink you and I'll dry you." I said, "No, no, no, don't do that. I will give the eggs of the sparrow." And finally he gives the eggs of the sparrow. So actually, to think it is an impossible task actually, but the sparrow had that determination, right? That determination, that small effort attracted the attention of Garuda. So that's how we have to be actually. See, effort attracts mercy. Okay, so that determination brought that divine help. Okay, so God helps those who help themselves. So sincere endeavor is never lost. Okay, so Krishna personally helps devotees who try to do their sadhana sincerely with determination. Come what may, I will, even if I have fever, come what may, I will do my chanting, I will do my hearing, I will do my reading, I will do devotional service. Come what may. Nothing is impossible. Okay, so bhakti, it may look difficult, but you will surely get help. Pray to Krishna, he will definitely give you help. But don't give in to bhakti. Bhakti is the essence of our life. The rare human form of life we've got after so many janmas, crores of janmas, we've got this human life. We should not waste it in sense gratification. Should use it to do tapasya, to do bhakti, and go back to our eternal Father Krishna. Okay, definitely, if you have problems in bhakti, pray to Krishna, pray to your Guru, pray to Guru Maharaj, pray to our Sampradaya Acharyas. They will definitely give you help, support. In some form, they will give you the idea how you can come out of that. So, do your part and Krishna will do the rest. He knows everything, right? He knows the difficulty that we are facing and what can be the solution to that. He knows everything. So just pray to Krishna, keep faith on Krishna, and just continue your bhakti. Come what may, whatever difficulties come, let it come. Just pray to Krishna, everything will be taken care of. Okay, so what are they trying to say in this shloka? Yoga requires determination, patience, and faith. So, and we should try to give up our material desires gradually, slowly. We should try to give up. Otherwise, our mind will still be disturbed. If the mind is disturbed, you cannot meditate properly, right? So, you need a steady mind to do yoga. Okay, so bhakti yoga is the easiest and the surest path. So, with determination, Krishna consciousness always succeeds. Definitely, after coming to Krishna consciousness, and that too after chanting, definitely your difficulties will become more. You will think, what is this? I'm chanting Krishna's names, my difficulty should come down. In fact, before chanting, my difficulties were less, and after chanting, my difficulties have become more. That's what we think. Definitely, it will become more. Why? Because Krishna is testing you. This is your testing time. Krishna is testing. See, in difficulties, will she leave me and go away? Then even I will leave her, Krishna will say. He is testing. Still, will she be there or he be there? That's your testing period, because he'll give you more difficulties than normal. So we should think it is a testing phase and pray to Krishna only. Who else can help us? To pray to Krishna and continue your spiritual journey. So 6.25. Gradually, step by step, one should become situated in trance by means of intelligence sustained by full conviction, and thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else. Bhagavad Gita 6.25. So, what are they trying to say here? They're saying spiritual progress is gradual, step by step. So, one should advance step by step, not suddenly. Okay, so instant perfection is unrealistic. Now we see, right? Reduce weight 5 kgs in one day, 10 kgs in 1 week. All this is, I mean, like, you may reduce, but they're all not good for health. They spoil our health. Okay, so instant perfection is unrealistic. So slow practice, steady practice. Like we lose, right? In 1 month, we lose 1-2 kgs. That is the steady process and a good way to lose weight healthily. Okay, so steady practice brings real results. So slow and steady wins the race. We know that slogan, right? Even in spiritual life, also slow and steady wins. So intelligence must be supported by conviction. So mere having intelligence is not enough. One must have firm faith in the process. Okay, so conviction gives strength to control the mind. Okay, so that faith should be there, just not the intelligence. Besides intelligence, we need to have the faith. Okay, so faith empowers intelligence. That faith is very, very important. Okay, and withdrawal from the senses. We spoke earlier also, right? The senses, it should stop sense enjoyment. How in Ashtanga yoga they have to forcefully stop their senses, right? No, don't look, don't see that, don't eat that, don't hear that, don't touch that, like that. So sense control happens by gradually stopping sense enjoyment. So this stage is called pratyahara. So fighting the senses directly is very difficult. Okay, so like this, if you control the senses, it's very difficult. Okay, they say reduce sense activity, don't indulge in it. Okay, it's very difficult. And samadhi means what? Fixing the mind. Samadhi means mind is fully fixed on the self. Self means super soul. So, and at this point, they are not attracted to sense pleasure, means material sense gratification, they are not interested at all because they have got a higher taste. So, they meditate only on the super soul. So, at this point, the mind becomes peaceful and steady. So, samadhi is what? Absorption, means absorption in the super soul. It's not you're sleeping or your imagination. Samadhi means just closing your eyes and sleeping. No, they are so much absorbed in super soul, in the Paramatma. They find higher happiness, peace. Okay, it's like that. Okay, so one more point Prabhupada says in the purport is, see, living in the world without sense enjoyment. So as long as we have a body, so we have to deal with matter, obviously. So, but we should not think of sense gratification. Okay, we should seek happiness only in the supreme, not in material things. The happiness that we get in material sense enjoyment is very, very less, meager. Okay, so we should seek happiness in the supreme. Okay, so we should use this body as an instrument to serve Krishna. We should not think that the soul is the body itself and we should not provide it all sense gratification. So that is what we have to understand. So how Krishna consciousness makes this easy? How? Because Krishna consciousness means what? You are directly engaging the senses in Krishna. So devotion replaces material pleasures with spiritual joy. So you are replacing all those material desires with spiritual desires. So it is automatically converted. Okay, so this chanting fixes the mind naturally. So your all your material desires go away because your senses are engaged in spiritual activities. Okay, so bhakti makes difficult yoga. Means what? Ashtanga yoga easy. So bhakti is easy, Ashtanga yoga is very difficult. So forceful restriction of the senses is very difficult, but engaging the same senses in spiritual activities, that is easy. We are diverting the senses, right? Like that. So what do we understand? So yoga is a gradual process. Faith, and we need faith and intelligence, they work together. And sense control, when the senses are controlled and not disturbed, it leads to samadhi. And what is the easiest method to reach to the samadhi? Krishna consciousness is the easiest method to reach to this stage. Mataji, can you please read 26, Mataji, translation?
Hare Krishna. Yes, Magaji.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Sloka 26. From wherever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. Bhagavad Gita 6.26.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Magaji. Thank you.
So here they are saying about the wandering nature, what do you say? Wandering of the mind. See, especially when we are trying to do meditation, that time only the mind wanders, and that is natural. Okay, so the mind is flickering and it is restless by nature. So wandering does not mean the mind has gone somewhere. It does not mean it is failure. Okay, so even advanced yogis face this challenge. Okay, so mind wandering is definitely it's expected. It is not surprising because all this while the mind, all these so many janmas, we were totally in sense gratification. So the mind will be remembering all that is in store in the mind. So we will be remembering all that. Oh, I have to do this at this time. I have to go to the office. I have to get my children ready. I have to do this. I have to do that. The milkman has come. Somebody open the door. So all this, obviously, the mind will wander. It is not surprising. Okay, but yoga means what? Controlling the mind. So he must control the mind. He must not be controlled by the mind, but that we should understand. See, if the mind controls us, it means that our spiritual life has failed. So when we try to control our senses, that is the success of yoga. The mind should not control us. We should control the mind. Okay, so either you control the mind or the mind controls you. So what is Goswami? The difference between Goswami and Godasa. Goswami means go means what? Senses. Swami means he's the master of the senses. Means he's controlled his senses. Go dasa means what? Go means senses. Dasa means he's servant of the senses. He will listen to what the senses say. So what should we be? We should be Goswamis. Okay, we should master our senses. We should the senses should listen to us. Okay, so spiritual life begins when we stop being servants of our senses. So actually, so freedom begins with sense control. Okay, so first we have to control our senses. Okay, so real sense happiness is transcendental. So material sense pressure, what happens? We earlier saw, right? It increases bondage. The more we say that I'm the master, I want to enjoy everything in this material world is for my satisfaction. So yeah, you want name, fame, all this wealth, property. So you get more and more attached to this material world. So it creates bondage. So you will be roaming in this material world, in this cycle of birth and death. But transcendental pleasure comes from serving Krishna, not yourself. Real happiness comes when you serve Krishna because that is our natural swabhava. Okay, Jivera Swarupohoi, Krishnera Nitya Das. We are servants of Krishna, and by serving Krishna, we get natural happiness. Okay, but the happiness that we get in this material world by serving our senses, it is bondage. But when we serve Krishna, we get transcendental pleasure and we get liberation. Okay, so purified senses experience higher taste. Okay, so when our senses are purified, we experience a higher taste. Okay, because of which we lose taste. When we get higher taste, we lose taste for the lower objects. So all these material things, they seem insignificant in front of that higher taste. So what is the best way to control the mind? It is Krishna consciousness. Okay, because automatically the senses are engaged in Krishna's service. Okay, so if we are not artificially suppressing the senses, saying no, 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 you should not eat that, no, 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 you should not see that, no, 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 you should not hear that. We are not artificially suppressing. So we are engaging all the senses in Krishna consciousness, so that it naturally, everything becomes becomes natural. Okay, so this is the highest perfection of yoga. Bhakti yoga is the highest perfection of yoga. So that is a practical yoga. So what we should understand from this shloka is, obviously mind wandering is natural. It is common. Okay, we should try to repeatedly bring it back to Krishna. Okay, how? Control the mind by engaging it in service. Okay, serving Krishna is the perfection of yoga. Okay. So 6.27. Shall we continue, Mataji, or shall we stop, Mataji? Hare Krishna, Mataji, you're on mute, I think.
Oh, yes, Madaji. Okay, Madaji.
We'll stop, Mataji.
Okay. Chalega. No, it's okay.
Yeah, sure. We'll stop. So we'll continue from